Everyone is waiting. Always.
We'll get started. Welcome, everybody. My name is Majid, and it's a new politics and Afrofuturism program at the University of the Underground, where we explore Black radical imagination and popular culture as a powerful vehicle for propelling progressive social justice narrative through mainstream audiences, with a focus on Afrofuturism, Black activism, climate justice, along with political theory and practice. For those that don't know, the University of the Underground is a free, pluralistic and transnational university based in the basement of nightclubs and in Amsterdam. But as you can see, we're all using Zoom at the moment due to what's happening. I am extremely and really excited, and I'm proud to introduce our wonderful guest. And his name is Mark McGowan. He's a political and performance artist and street artist and prominent public protester. Mark is an ex-football hooligan as well as an ex-associate lecturer at the Chelsea College of Arts. And I think it's fair to say that he is a bit of a thorn to art institutions. The Tate began a feud with Mark McGowan, saying that his lack of seriousness deflates the art world's sense of importance and significance of their activity. And he was also refused entry to the Frieze Art Fair for 5 nights for rightly daring to suggest it was elitist. Passionate ranter, all-round great person, Mark McGowan also champions the belief that the role of art is to challenge. And it's a real joy to have him here. And even from a personal note, when I was getting involved in politics, Mark was definitely one of my key and inspirations with everything. So Mark, welcome. And I guess just to ask you, first of all, how have you been? How have you been coping with everything that's been happening?
Yeah, I mean, I've been coping really well. I just, art is like an addiction. So I'm there every day, I'm painting, I'm doing a video in the morning, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, which is a 2-minute newspaper review. And also I started a zine as well. And I did an online book. So I published a book and 3 editions of this zine called We're Fucked, which is art, politics and culture. So I'm just doing the 3rd one now, which is sort of like a comic. It's really exciting, working with other artists as well in the last one. But yeah, I think I cope quite well. It's for an artist, it's like lockdown. I'm there, I'm just making work. You know, it's almost like someone said you're allowed to just like, stay at home all the time and just paint and draw, and it's amazing. It's really, it's a big privilege being an artist, and also within the frame of being an art, sort of like in the public sphere with the artist taxi driver. It's a real privilege because you get to like I was doing lots of interviews, but you get to meet loads of people. You also, you know, the frame of art is like you're going to be talking about performance in thing. Now performance is really weird within how its language. Did you see, like, you know, when the Green or the what's all the protesters, the climate justice, what's that?
Extinction Rebellion lot.
Extinction Rebellion. Did you see all of the Extinction Rebellion when they do those dances, when they're doing one in Trafalgar Square? And it was like, it got like 4.5 million because everyone was going, look at these fucking lunatics. Because they were doing all this weird, because performance and performance art is really alien to normal terms of reading things, you know, like if you're reading like how, you know, how television and film and books are generally just like take the viewer or the reader and they just take them on this journey really simply, you know, and it's really constrained beginning. And these people are just like, what are they doing? It's really, it freaks them out. And they start like, they ridicule them, they mock them. And it's all, anyone does something odd or any sort of, they say, oh, I think that's performance art. You know, it's a real sort of, it's a very strange medium. If one of the things if you just, how many students are watching this?
We've got 14 at the moment.
One of the things that you can, if you take away just one thing today, try and take away this, right? So on the reading list, I put Peggy Phelan unmarked. And she makes it's one sentence. I'm going to say the sentence to you. And this is really pivotal about performance. And, well, this is the sentence. It says, the power of performance lies in it not really being there. The power of performance lies in it not really, and really is in inverted commas, being there. And it's ephemeral. You know, it's what I think she's talking about there. The power is the narrative for a performative event, activism or performance art. There's a time and a place for it, but the narrative for it exists before, during, and after the event. So this is where performance as a medium within the art world, but also within activism, because you can, like when I used to do these performances, I say, artist eats a corgi. Like I would write something in an extraordinary art performance. Mark McGowan on the 14th of June, 2009 is going to eat, or 2007, going to eat a small corgi dog. And I would send it out as a press release before the event. And it was in all the newspapers. You know, I did 100 performances that always all got in the newspapers. And you would always send out this press release, and how they would frame that in the paper, it was like the event has already happened. Do you know what I mean? So you could say anything. You could say anything. I said, like the corgi, when I turned up on the event itself. So the event itself, I did it on Bob and Roberto's radio show. And I ate this small corgi dog. And there was, so the narrative exists before. So I've sent out this press release. There's all pictures of Prince Philip. I'm eating the small corgi dog because Prince Philip on a grouse hunt, a fox ran out and they wounded it, and then they beat it to death with a stick, the beater. So I was eating this small corgi dog, which represented the royals in a protest against the RSPCA. So I put that in the press release, who did nothing about Prince Philip beating to death this fox after they shot him. And so all this press release, and then there was like, it was in the Sun and like other like right-wing papers and things about like so the event itself is this radio show. So I was on the radio show and I had a co-conspirator with me. She wasn't part of my act, but she always used to come and hang out with me. She was about 80 years old, Japanese, Miko Takanami. But I used to take her everywhere. But on this night, she decided that she was going to be Yoko Ono, and she sung Imagine. So I've got all these this corgi meat, and I've made them into like meatballs, and I've got them with pita bread. They're like falafels. I've got them with pita bread and some hummus. So I was outside. We'd done the picture, but in the thing, she started singing Imagine. So when we came out, there was lots of press outside because they wanted pictures of. I had this silver tray, and there was a real picture of a real corgi and the meatballs, and they took loads of pictures, and it was in the papers, and they said. Did Yoko Ono, because she said that she was Yoko Ono, and they believed it. And I didn't say anything, do you know what I mean? I thought that they would know that it was just someone, you know. Yeah. And they put the next day, Yoko Ono eats a small corgi dog. Yoko Ono and her lawyers have absolutely freaked out. They're called Eversheds. And they told that radio station, I forgot what it's called, and they said, you have to go on every half an hour and say, because Yoko Ono, she said she had an alibi that she was in Moscow at the time. So it was really strange that so the whole thing, this is what I was saying to you, the power of performance lies in it not really being there. Because something static like a statue or a painting or a sculpture, you know, this is mad. Even film, you know, this is really mad because this one event around like artists eats a small corgi dog I mean the story and how it changes, but even at the end, me like now retelling it to you, you know, this is why performance has always been, you know, like one of the sort of like tools of activism as well, because it's using your body. So sometimes you put your body, your physical body, in a public space, kind of like in harm's way. Like recently I got onto this top 10 list for this performance, which I did years ago, which was Dead Soldier, where I lie down in the street in, I had fatigues on, and I had this red beret, and the red beret had this emblem on it. Anyway, it represented some soldiers that had been killed in Iraq, and I just lie down in the street. But it really kicked off, do you know what I mean, around my physical body. So a lot of people was quite disturbed about it, and then I was there for a week, so it was like it got more notoriety about what I was doing. So it was, you know, it's very challenging. Like when I crawled on my hands and knees from London to Canterbury with boxes of chocolates tied around my wrists and ankles. I had a rose between my teeth and a big sign on my back, hand painted, which said, "Could you love me?" And I crawled all the way to Canterbury, and I was mic'd up, and it was I was doing a BBC Radio 3. Like we made a documentary about this crawl at Christmas time, but it was a really perilous project because like I crawled through Eltham, which was like the, you know, where you know, that's the town that killed Stephen Lawrence. It's really rough around, you know. I'm crawling through, and all these like people came out from the glaziers and started shouting at me, "Get up off your knees, you crackhead," you know what I mean? Fucking stay here. And they were really going off. But I got up on my haunches because I was on my knees, and I started to talk to them, and I said to them that last Christmas I was by myself just with 2 fish fingers. So I was going out looking to like find someone that would love me. They were going, "Oh mate." And they started shouting, "Darren, Darren." They dragged this guy out and they said, "He ain't got a bird, he ain't got a bird. Get down on your knees, Darren, crawl with him." You know, it's mad out there. But what, are you still there?
Yeah. So I'm just
I think I'm just talking. But like all the sort of like history of performance and this sort of like political activism, Lipstick Traces, which is the book Marcus Grail, is like an alternative art history, but it's got lots of different performative groups. You should write down Alfred Jarry, who was like this, he's a French kind of playwright, and the Dadaist Johanna Spada, and the lecturess Michel Moret. And Michel Moret, 1950, Easter High Mass, Paris, and got on the altar and said Jesus was a sausage. You know, he got arrested. I think he got stabbed by one of the Swiss guards. And then it takes you on to like the Situationists and King Mob. And King Mob is a group with, they're quite, you know, I think Malcolm McLaren was one of them, but they were, they all, listen to this, what they did, right? They all in Selfridges in Oxford Street, 1968, they all dress up as Father Christmas, and they like a big firm of them. So you got like a mob, 12 or 20 Father Christmases, and they went into where all the toys was in Selfridges, and they took the toys off the shelves and handed them to the kids. They were shopping with their parents. "Happy Christmas, this is for you." Well, there was a massive riot in the shop, do you know what I mean? Because they were going, no, you can't have that. They were like grabbing the toys back off of the kids, and the police came because they wouldn't leave, and they started arresting the Father Christmases. Can you even imagine that? That must have been like, you know, that's a proper, it was, so it's the situation, you know, it's still about sort of like, it was anti-capitalist and all, but it was still, that is such a beautiful project. But some of those kids, you know, you can imagine that would have left a deep.
Definitely, 100%.
You think, yeah, it's Christmas, and Father Christmas gives you a present. He's been arrested. How do you explain that to them?
Is there any, like, because that was in what, that was 19, a long time ago, should we say, right?
Yeah.
Is there any groups like that? Is there anybody that's currently inspiring you at the moment that you think is doing amazing?
Yeah, I mean, over you got Sisters Uncut, who are like sort of like proper. They go out, you know, they've done loads of different actions. The E15 mums who were around a couple of years ago, still around, you know, who fought for their estate, and it was like some of their especially E15 mums, their signs were incredible, or their banners. You know, they made these block letters, and that was really good. And that's like, you kind of look at the art world. I don't know, is this an art? Is this an art course or?
Yeah, there's quite a few artists in here, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So within the sort of like frame of art, I think there are some. You know, it is happening, but there's no movement in art. And I think political activism, you know, I think that's, you know, especially it's morphed into online stuff, you know, so there's a lot of online stuff, you know, but I don't know whether in the age of COVID, sometimes I see whatever people are protesting about over the last sort of like 6 months, and I'm not sure whether I'd feel comfortable going there just because of what's happening with COVID. So I think art is, but art's on its arse anyway. I think art's proper. It's got an issue.
A quick question, Mark. What, if you briefly just explain the artist taxi driver, because as well, Mark does a lot of performance and pieces, but he's also does one called the artist taxi driver. So I thought maybe you can just briefly explain what the artist taxi driver is.
Yeah, artist taxi driver is a performance. You know, it's really difficult to have conversations and introduce things like saying it's actually it's an intervention. It's a fine art critical practice, looking at media, looking at politics and culture, and not believe that it's real. Because a lot of people then, as soon as you start to talk, like when I was on Daily Politics, and I was talking to those people, and I'm trying to say that they're not interested. You know, they want to know about your rage, about why you're angry, about you know, it's really no one wants to talk about the aesthetics of it, or like have a conversation about how do you see that framed within a context of sort of like what we're doing here today, political art. You know, no one wants, and it's very, you know, it's 24 hours a fucking day for me. Do you know what I mean? That's what I was saying before. It is an addiction. It consumes me. You know, the whole artist taxi driver, like I actually believe that I'm him and that I'm some kind of like Robert De Niro character that's gonna, like, someday a heavy rain is gonna come and wash all this Tory scum off the streets.
On that note, I'm gonna basically share my screen, and you would have seen the video, and I don't know if
I can't see anything. There's nothing. I'm looking into nothing.
That's really, but everyone else can see me, right?
That's cool. Yeah. Can you see me?
Cool. Yeah, I can see you perfectly. I don't know you can't.
Yeah, that's fine for me.
But you're still with us. So, can everyone see the screen? And tell me if one of you can give me a thumbs up if you can hear as soon as I press play.
We cannot. No, no. No magic. I mean, the sound is not arriving.
Oh, the sound's not arriving?
No, it's like in the background. It's not loud enough.
Okay, wait a minute.
Sounds like a robot.
Yeah.
You guys have to see this. Sorry, give me a second.
What, you're playing them, Majid?
Yeah, I'm just playing them the shutdown video.
Oh, yeah.
And
did you press the two buttons of the ones you share the screen?
I just pressed share screen. Do I need to press anything else?
Yeah, there are two buttons at the bottom that says share sound with the computer and something else about quality with video, something like that.
Okay.
Once you press share screen.
Okay. Do you know what? And can you do me if I send you the link to the video? Can you And can you share the screen, Eduardo?
Okay, yeah, okay. Share with me and I will do it. I don't know if I can share a screen either.
Yeah, you will be able to, because I've given everyone permission to share the screen.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, send me the link. Wait. It's in the chat. Okay. Okay, just give me a moment.
No problem whatsoever.
I'll listen to your screen. Wait. No, I cannot neither. I don't know why.
Wow. No, let me just try it one more time.
I mean, there is a button down. Once you press share screen, at the bottom of the it appears
I've got
like
it. Yeah, I've got it.
share computer sound.
Yeah. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear it.
Working as a nurse for 26
Yes.
years, the Tories expect our support in the light of another 1% pay increase.
We will be spending £500 billion on the National Health Service.
But nurses get paid less and less.
My wage slips from 2009 reflect exactly what I'm earning today.
But there isn't a magic money tree that we can shake that suddenly provides for everything that people want.
It was like magic. How did they, I love it when the Tories say, your community centre, get shut down. Your library, shut down. Your fire station, shut down. Your police station, shut down. Tory vulture capitalists, property speculators, get the key, the magic money tree, and it's shut down. I love it when the Tories say, where are you going to find the money? Like they don't know. Hey, you got it all, you greedy bastards. You know exactly where it is. Then they go on about, where's this magic money tree? It's in the Cayman Islands, the Bahamas, the British Virgin Islands, Panama, fucking That's where the magic money tree. And yeah, the Tories have all the money, and everyone knows it. Your community centre, shut down. Your library, shut down. Your fire station, shut down. Your police station, shut down. Tory vulture capitalists, property speculators, get the key, the magic money tree, and it's shut down. The Tories' magic money tree is called the public. Your 0-hour contracts, you get less, the boss gets more. The magic money tree, rents go up, Tory landlord gets more. You get poor, the magic money tree. Your kids get debt, the City of London, they get Lamborghini. Google, Amazon, Starbucks, Apple, the biggest companies in our lives, pay no tax. Your community centre, shut down. Your library, shut down. Your fire station, shut down. Your police station, shut down. Tory vulture capitalists, property speculators, get the key, the magic money tree, and it's shut down. There was a teacher on Radio 5 Live today who said, I work in a school where we don't have enough money to buy glue sticks. Yet Amber Rudd has 2 accounts in the bloody Bahamas. And yeah, banks, credit card debt. You can't sleep at night worrying about work, feed the kids, paying the rent. That's the Tory magic money tree. Like a fucking giant tripod spreading. And there's Jeremy Corbyn trying to shake just a little bit off. Just a little bit. Just a little.
Thanks for watching. Just a quick question, Mark. That specific video, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a fan that made that video, right?
No, it was Stan, like a guy on Twitter. Stan, what's his name? Yeah.
So basically,
it was quite interesting because I made that about, I'd say about 10 o'clock in the morning, and he had already edited it within about 10, 15 minutes. And then I sent it to whatchamacallit, JME, and he retweeted it. So that's why it got really, really big really quickly. But it's also Skepta's music, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It was really good. I mean, I think the way that online activism, you know, people are consumed by their phones and consumed by, you know, so it's natural that art uses that as a medium. And I think that's how, you know, I've gone. I first started on YouTube, you know, as, you know, before that was public performance, YouTube, Twitter. So you're kind of looking for spaces and, you know, artists, we all want big studios. I work on my kitchen table. So it's like, it's really difficult to get space. So sometimes you've got something to say, you're an artist. It doesn't really matter what the medium is, but you need to find something that's comfortable, and performance and online stuff and things. I get really into it, you know, and I think it's, I don't know, like my friend who I was at uni with, and I was saying to her, she's got these really good films. I said, put them on YouTube. And she's like, YouTube? She's like, fuck off. I'm not putting, because they're 16 mil. She wants to show them on a projector. I say, yeah, we could, at least some people could see it. Do you know what I mean? And I think, you know, I'm doing this zine and I'm only selling a couple of copies, but like 50,000 people look at the graphics online. Do you know what I mean? So you sell like, I don't know, 30 or 40 copies of a zine, but lots of, you know, and I think that's really important. If you want a message or you've got something to say, whether it's political or whether it's, you know, aesthetic or whatever it is that you're doing, it's a massive, like, it's out there. Do you know what I mean? It's everyone to grab hold of, and, you know,
No, 100% agree. I would always, when I was like Lord Mayor, I'd always make use of just imagery, just purely because I know I'll be able to grab people's attentions for it really. So I guess if you were to, like, in terms of current crop of politicians, whether that be in the UK or abroad or whatever, you think politicians can learn from political art or performance art, just art in general, for them to use art as a way to basically get their message out there and engage with people? Do you reckon there's lessons that they can learn so they can actually use day to day and as part of the work that they do as politicians?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is you've got like performance as a medium, performance art. It's not very well liked, you know what I mean? It's not very well understood, and it's also, you know, I mean, newspapers and media are very skeptical of art in the first place. But, you know, Marina Abramovich, actually, there's a really good documentary about her on BBC iPlayer at the moment. So, yeah, she's cut through. The thing is everyone thinks it's like within the art world, performance art is like, you know, the lava lamp.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a novelty. Do you know what I mean? They say, oh, can you come and do a performance? You know, it's very difficult to be, you know, there's a lot of performance art, which is, you know, it's really raw. It's about, you know, it's about the body. But I think it's, you know, it's a joke. So most people, you know, you often see people close, like I see people, it looks like a bit of performance art when people do, you know, it's how yeah, it is, but it's like, how do you, you know, Pussy Riot is really good. That's really strong stuff and really visually strong, you know, and it's got music attached to it and culture, and, you know, they're kicking off in the church and they get imprisoned, but they're proper. They really put their bodies, they've gone to prison. You know, they really put their bodies out there. And also, like, there's a lot of Russians, Oleg Kulik and that, who put his head inside a cow, deep inside Russia. Yeah, I think
as well, you can't monetize it, because a lot of, like, in terms of when people think of art, they'll be able to, like, yeah, I'm going to purchase a piece of artwork, and people put value into that. But as if you're a performance artist, say, how?
Yeah, I think when you, like, the question about it being like attached to politics, the really strong political ones that I did were always sort of like, I did one on President's Day in New York. George Bush, and I dressed up as George Bush. I had a suit on and I had a George Bush, one of those rubber masks, and I was crawling on my hands and knees. And on my posterior, I had a cardboard handwritten sign which said, "Kick my ass." And I crawled on my hands and knees as George Bush. It was 2000 and something, like during the Iraq War, crawling around New York, and I let people kick me. Kick my ass. And I was on the front page of a few newspapers over there, and lots of media coverage, CNN, CBS, and they were following us with cameras. But it was President's Day, and there was some real sort of like hairy moments. There was a couple of guys, and they were screaming with rage, "Don't kick him in the ass! Don't kick him in the ass! You ain't kicking George W. in the ass, you're kicking America in the ass." And one of the camera women like turned her camera towards this guy, and the reporter was saying, "Oh, you've been like that." And with that, the guy just smashed the camera with the side of his arm, screaming, "Get that fucking goddamn camera out of my face." I was just like crawling. People were kicking me. Yeah, because it was President's Day. Yeah, I think that like the really strong sort of like political things, it's really difficult, you know, because it's public space is really weird as well. You just got, I like moving in it. When I'm doing performance, I just think I've got to keep moving. The crawling and rolling. I pushed the peanut, didn't I, with my nose for 7 miles. That was about like paying like student fees. I think that's the other thing about performance art. It's not, you have to have like a narrative in it that brings in everyone. Like I pushed this monkey nut along the road, just like nudging it with my nose, and everyone was like, they were quite interested in the activity actually.
I think you're right, because a lot
that's really interesting. But yeah, and about scraping your nose, you know, and that was really good. I really enjoyed that. That was a couple of weeks. The durational pieces are really good as well, because then the media can come and, like, all I wanted to do was get on the telly and reclaim the work from the telly. So I did a bit of work with for a couple of years with Aaron Barshak. Do you know him?
Rings a bell, but no.
He's the comedy terrorist. He dressed up as Osama bin Laden in a pink tutu dress and got in Prince William's birthday party.
Wow.
Do you remember the guy?
No, I don't remember.
He's got a big, long black beard. He was going around doing all sorts of things. Anyway, his parents were both victims of genocide. So his parents' family, they were sole survivors. So a lot of his work was about immigration, and we did a few things. We went to Birmingham, did an effigy of Liam Byrne. He was the immigration minister at the time. And I wrote a poem which was Burn, 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 Liam Byrne of Birmingham. But we did the BAFTAs. So they were deporting this guy. And Aaron he was saying if they deport him, he's going to get killed. So we're gone to the BAFTAs. There's Guy Hilton dressed as a giant dog. Bob and Roberta Smith had a sign, "Hail you groovy actors." So it's in Park Lane. You know what happens is all the limos come and they go into the hotel doorway, and either side of the doorway is the paparazzi, and they pull up and they walk through this thing. They stop and I had one of those giant megaphones, and on the megaphone is also an alarm that goes whoop, whoop, whoop. So I'm in radio control on the phone with Aaron. Aaron's around the corner. And as the cars were coming up, I was trying to recognize someone and say like who it was. And I didn't really, and I said, no, not these, they're not really. And then suddenly Daniel Craig and Lucy Liu come out of one of the limos, him in his tuxedo and that. And I says to Aaron, go, go, go. And Aaron jumps over the barriers and runs in the middle. And he's got a white towel, and he's written on it, "Kill Mohammed al-Sharif." But he's got it upside down because he said that, you know, he didn't want to kill him, but this is what's going to happen to him. But if it was upside down, then he couldn't be done for threatening behavior or something. But as he's jumped in front of Daniel Craig and Lucy Liu, there's copious amounts of security there. And there's just this massive bundle and they all jumped on top of him. But I had set the siren off because when I said go, 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 it was going whoop, whoop, whoop. So everyone turned to me and wasn't looking at Aaron running in the opposite direction who got in the middle of the thing. And the police just come and dragged us all off. But they let us all go. They took us around the corner. It was lined up against a wall. It was really dark at night. I thought he was going to get really in trouble, but they just let us go. But yeah, he used to phone me up and say, like, can you get a ladder and we'll go and break into the Big Brother house? Or he wanted to get on the snooker table in the World Championship to highlight all of the deportations and that they were doing at the time. But that was really powerful. You know, all lost. There's no photographs or no records of any of that. Yeah, I was looking at Marina Abramovich and she kept everything from all of her performances and all video footage. But I kind of like the stories as well. I hope one day like loads of them will live on because there's so many. I did a really good project in Brazil with Carnival, and in Tbilisi in Georgia. I did a Deep Inside Russia Part 2, which I can't go into because it's really graphic, and it was at the cinema there, and I got in loads of trouble. But there's lots of things I got in trouble for. I did. So basically, this idea of I keyed 47 cars, but I sent it out as a press release. So I went on the telly and get interviewed and said, "Why did you do it?" And see, it was about property and ownership. I only meant to key one car. I ended up keying 47 to see it because I got a bit of a thrill out of it. They were freaking out. It was lucky. This was sort of like pre-Twitter. The internet was on. But it was just like, I just wanted to get on the telly. Do you know what I mean? I really like the project and I like the idea of it and like the sort of like the way that art is referenced within the media. It's either how much is it or it's rubbish. That's about the two stories art is. No, it's interesting because on the Dead Soldier one, when they phoned you up, and there was the guy phoned me up from the Sun, and he was telling me, you know, all he wanted to know was how much it cost. And it was actually like a whole exhibition of my work, which the guy got a grant as well from the Arts Board. So I said it was £4,000. I didn't get that. I got like money for the project and that. But I wanted it to be the largest amount I could think of because I knew that would lead the story because that's all they're interested in. Do you know what I mean? It was like the Iraq War. There was like a dead soldier. I never said this the other day. I got interviewed on the front row by, who does the front row now? What's his name? He used to be in the Sun. I've forgotten his name. But anyway, he interviewed me, and for the first time I said something to him. So the 6 soldiers that got killed in Iraq were all left without, they didn't have any weapons or but they all got killed in this compound. And one of them had the same name as my son. My son he was about a year or 2 at the time. So it was really personal, you know, he is exactly his name. So another one of the people, Reg Keys, and like they were all interviewing. I never got to talk to those people. It was like when I'd done the reenactment of the Piccadilly Line tube bomb thing. Well, you know, it's really hard. What?
You did a reenactment?
Yeah, I did lots of reenactments. I had this period where I just did reenactments, live reenactments. Yeah, I reenacted the conception of Prince William.
Pardon?
Reenacted the conception of Prince William in Brick Lane. So Simon, we had these massive canvases draped, and they were all with Buckingham Palace and not the Beefeaters, the other ones with the red jackets and the big tall black hats. Yeah. And we'd got this thing, and there was I always just used to put cardboard boxes on people's heads. So there was 2. There was Bacon Boy and this thing, and they actually, it was live sex. And yeah, people were shocked. It was really sweaty in there as well. It was a hot day. And but he had a cardboard box of Prince Charles and Lady Di, but it was two gay guys, but it was quite, you know, it got a strong reaction. But a lot of the cardboard box things, you know, I reenacted the murder of John Charles Jimenez. Yeah, so I got everyone to like wear cardboard boxes, John Charles, and we walked, and we done it outside of where he was actually murdered in Stockwell Tube. That was an incredible piece. The cardboard boxes are really unsettling, really, really. And there was a lot of cameras there as well, and Brazil TV. And when he went down, they squirted, like they had some tomato ketchup, like sachets, and they squirted. I reenacted the death of Jade Goody, and I done it in a basement, a really, really old creaky basement, and I only let 2 people down. It was actually Miko Takanami, the old Japanese lady. She had a cardboard box with Jade Goody on. On one side was Jade Goody's mum, and the other side was Jack, her boyfriend, and they were holding her hands. So there was a queue, and someone come out. It's really dark down there as well. You would open the door and they would walk down, and you would stand there and just be in it. It was really quiet. There was a really good article. There was a really good article in the Independent about that. That was a really strong piece.
So quick question, Mark. Would you say part of the outrage is the art as well?
Yeah, people are outraged by like performance art. People don't like it. What is it? Like, when, you know, what do you think when you see those people dancing, Majid? Like, what do you think? Like
I'll be honest with you, like for me, I laugh at it, I'll be quite honest with you, but at the same time, it's like, listen, if that's, as long as they're not harming anybody, and if that's the way they're choosing to express themselves, it's getting attention. Like, fair enough, people can mock them thinking, what the bloody heck are these loonies doing? But as long as it's going to get them attention and then the cause is linked to what they're doing, like, I'm all in favor of it.
Yeah, I've a lot of sort of, so it's shame-based, isn't it? So art in general is shame-based, whether you're dancing, singing, painting. So I think it comes at like about 9, 10, 11 when you're painting, and your peers in your primary school are on your shoulders laughing. Is that a boat? Is that a boat? So like when I'm teaching and I'm teaching performance, and you can say, who wants to sing a song? And it's, you know, some people will say, yeah, but lots of people, I ain't singing. You know what, right? You can have the lights turned down low, music, drink, a dance floor, and someone says to you, you know, do you want to have a dance? And you're like, I ain't fucking. People will laugh at me. You know, isn't that extraordinary that everything's there, you know, and it's really, so it's inside all of us, you know. It's yeah, and the primary purpose of shame is not to be exposed. So you push it down and it comes up as other feelings as well. So a lot of the stuff, the public stuff that I do is you know, I'm quite aware of through sort of like therapy and drug addiction and things, I'm quite aware of feelings and what, you know, what they are, because some of them consume. So other feelings, you know, in all feelings can consume, but there's some that are really stronger than others, like jealousy. And, you know, if you think your partner or someone's gone off with someone, it can like start at your toes. It consumes your body, you know, consumes it, is wrecked to your physical. And shame is like that as well. So the idea of creating something or being like, you know, making something which is creative or think, because it's a difficult process, you know, because you're thinking about showing someone emotional, you know, like you're inside sometimes, you know, and that's powerful. And I think that's where, like, when I say I'm grateful for being an artist, the frame of thing, that's the real power of art. And it has to be really considered, you know, to make strong pieces. When I look back at some of the pieces that I made, I think, how did that happen? And I say, I don't know. I just went there and I had an idea, and I can't believe it never happened any way that I did this project in Stockholm. So it was in 2006 or 2005, and I got invited there, and it was at the really big museum in the middle with the big white and hexagonal floor in the middle of Stockholm. And the curator said, we're always doing Ibsen plays. I want to curate something to, you know, and I've been looking at some of the pieces you've been doing. Would you do a piece? And I did. So the idea was, do you know the Abu Ghraib human pyramid?
Yeah.
Do you know the Abu Ghraib human pyramid, where they stacked prisoners up and they took a picture of it in Iraq?
Naked.
Yeah. So I was going to reenact the Abu Ghraib human pyramid with 6 teenage girls. So I'll go to Stockholm, I'm talking to the curator, and all I did was I went inside where I was going to do this talk, and there was loads of people in there. There was about 200 people. And I said to them, I want to do this piece. Is there anyone here that could help me? And yeah, we got some, and we put green, like how those green hoods. And we walked out of that museum, and we walked into the middle of the square, and these girls took they already had their clothes off, and they had these things, and they made a pyramid. It was pretty, yeah, that was a really incredible pic. That was amazing. But also amazing how it happened, and how sort of like, how the people that helped make it, yeah, they were really like, yeah, that was a...
Brilliant. We're gonna take some questions. I'm just cautious not to take much of your time. Guys, feel free to and put questions in the chat box. But I know Chloe asked a question. Do you want to take yourself off mute, Chloe, and just ask your question?
Yeah, thanks. I was wondering regarding like Marina Abramovich and her work, which is like really mediatized with the documentary and like a lot of articles and everything. And I don't know, it kind of makes me wonder, like, is her work really activist? Because she's definitely like benefiting a lot from the images, and her personality is kind of like a logo. It's a lot about the ego, for me anyways, more than really changing society. I don't know, I'm just wondering what you would think of.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's, you know, I really like her work. I like the pieces that she did, like that arrow one and all the scrubbing ones and ones with the guns and the knives. I like it as it's really top performance art. You know, it's up there. She just got that show at the Royal Academy. But I get what you're saying as well, and I suppose that's what happens when you become like, yeah, you know, so big. I think it's. I still. What are you doing, Chloe?
I'm an architect / kind of artist, I guess. For example, I'm really interested in what you said about doing like work in the public space. I created this idea of the woman cave, like subverting the idea of like the man cave, and how you know, public space is quite male dominated and male designed. And so I came up with this kind of nomad safe space for discussing how spaces are gendered. And the idea is to put the woman cave space in public spaces, and we did that. So I understand what you're saying with like the importance of being in public space and being seen to kind of affirm your place there and create discussions around the work. But I think personally it's a bit of a shame to rely on sensation as a way to get a conversation. I think it would be more inspiring to rely on like new ideas and maybe like new ways of transmitting ideas. Like I think it would be more interesting to make space for people who are never listened or like heard in the public sphere, rather than like a white artist woman. I mean, she's a woman, but she's really mediatized, and for me she's more a symbol of like art being a capitalist kind of machine. I don't know. That's kind of the way I see it.
Yeah, that sounds really good what you're doing, the women's collective. That's amazing. I think, yeah, in public space, and that, you know, it's so amazing. The thing is when you're doing performance, you're the #1 viewer. Do you know what I mean? So when like you crawl in or you doing your thing, it's like you see it's so great for you as well, because you get to experience the whole thing. But there is that sort of like witness thing about like seeing things. But I understand about Marina Abramovich, but I think, you know, I suppose in the end, everyone's just doing what you know, that's how, what she's doing. I think there should be more space to bring in the activist side of performance into sort of like the art, like Sisters Uncut and things like that. And I'm sure some of them are sort of like connected to sort of like the art practices and art world. But yeah, I got a thing where I really want to go out on the streets. I haven't been out on the streets for such a long time, and yeah, I really want to go out on the streets and do something. Yeah. But it's so hard, you know. This idea about what you just said was really interesting, about voices for people who don't have a voice, and sensation. So it's really difficult to have ideas, isn't it? How do you gauge a good, because we've just like, when I'm thinking back on my pieces and then thinking, actually, that's really amazing. But how do we gauge what is good? And where does that come from? And how does that start? And I think as artists, well, probably they're doing anything in your life, but as artists, so you can be like medium led, like you're a sculptor, like where's my sort of like plaster, or a paint, my canvas and my paint. So you can think about starting to do a painting, but like, what are you going to paint? And where do those ideas come from? It could be like you've been invited to be in a show, or like you've got a theme, or you're working on something like that. But a starting point, the starting point when you're making something should be, I'm going to make something that's so extraordinary that people are going to fall over. I'm going to have to pick them up. And they're going to go, oh my fucking, have you seen that? Or they're going to like message their friends, look at this, have you heard about this? How do you make something extraordinary? And it's interesting when you say, you know, about quiet voice, because extraordinary doesn't always come from like well, obviously it doesn't come from sensation. It can come from, you know, to make someone emotional, to make them cry, or to make them laugh. You know, how do you do that? How do you make something extraordinary? Well, have it as a starting point. You know, work out, think about what you think is like extraordinary pieces of work, or like, you know what they are, your favorite things. Why is that extraordinary? How can I make something extraordinary? That's a really good thing to take away today, to always have that as a starting point. Some people say, yeah, but you never get anything done because you're always going to go, nah, someone's done that already, or like, no, I don't want to do that. Just have it. Just think about like, you know, I'm going to paint a tree. Well, if you're going to paint a tree, make it the fucking best tree. Don't paint 6 trees. Paint 1 tree, but then trying to think about, if I just painted 1 tree, I'm going to paint the best tree like I've ever seen. Have a look. Go have a look. Think about like, what's the best tree that you can put, and paint it. Do you know what I mean? Or be it, or, you know, it's a great tool to have that. You know, think about starting points and being like, I'm going to make something that's going to blow people's minds.
We've got another question from April. Did you want to take yourself a minute and ask your question, April?
Hey, I was just wondering, when you were talking about wanting to get back out into the streets and stuff like that, and just with the themes that you've covered through your previous work, I wondered what you thought about the Conservatives making it illegal to teach anti-capitalist material in the UK, and whether or not you were planning on doing anything in response to it, or whether you know anyone who is.
Yeah, I know they're really off their nuts, aren't they? And they've got like control, like of the complete state apparatus. These people, it's really scary because, you know, who's in power is also who's in power within the Conservative Party as well, and they're really sort of like right wing. It's really, really, it's scary for everybody, not just with like the pandemic and Brexit and things like that. It's like, they're monsters, you know. There's some really dodgy people up there. They don't even care about giving like billions away to their mates, and it's just like so open and there's no scrutiny, and it's like you're just thinking no one cares, because they got to that point where they can do what they want, because loads of those things, I think the Cummings things was a put down, like a tester. Just tell them, nah, you can't be bothered to make up a story, because it doesn't matter, because they were like, what is it, 25,000 elderly died. You know, we got the worst thing in Europe, death rate. And there's still people, they're still in a lead in the polls. You know, it's scary out there. And their whole sort of like education thing. I won't bother too much about like that at uni level, because I'm sure at the uni, you know, if you haven't occupied your uni, or like the uni is the like, that's the proper, you should be really doing a lot of activism. But teaching other things like secondary, primary, infants, the taking away of all of the sort of like art, so replacing it, you know, painting and sculpture and video making is amazing. You should be doing it every day, not like, you know, they got them on blocks, haven't they? Like one term, you'll do 1 hour a week of art. And then the next term you do dance, and the next term you do baking. You know, they want, no, I think they've even taken away university funding for humanities now as well, for like arts, and, you know, only if you do chemistry or something.
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, they're taking away the grants for humanities, and that's including English, which is just mad. I'm sure it's because they've got loads of applications for it and they've got no applications for the other one. But the university system is in fucking freefall. You know, like the whole thing was a rip-off before as soon as they introduced tuition fees, but now it's a joke. You know, you get like tutors. I mean, they're more interested in admin. You know, they're like massive whole like offices filled with admin, and no like teaching staff, or very little teaching staff, or you've got a personal tutor you get half an hour with once a term. It's difficult, you know, paying all that money and getting in debt, and then like basically like paying for a library card. It's not, I don't know. Are you all going to uni?
No, I've never been.
Oh. Is this a university then? What are you doing, Majid? Is this like to do with the EU, or is this like a different type of?
Well, so basically, the University of the Underground is an arts university based in Amsterdam. So it's actually was the university in Amsterdam was underneath the they had premises underneath nightclubs, basically. Physical university and in Amsterdam, and you got interesting people like Nadi from Pussy Riot's on the board member of the University of the Underground.
Yeah.
Chomsky, some other musicians. So it's quite an alternative university.
Yeah.
And really an amazing way. So this is like it would have been in Amsterdam, but due to the fact that we're in lockdown and stuff like that, and it's the program's online at the moment, and we've got people from all over the world, from Argentina to from all over the place, and basically. So we're basically focused online. We've got one question from Ananya. And Ananya, if you're with us, I'm sure you are. Do you want to take yourself off mute and ask your question?
Yeah, sure. So, hi, it was a lovely session. I enjoyed it. So I wanted to ask you something. I was a part of the Indian edition of the viral Chilean The Rapist Is You protest flash mob. I live in Kolkata, and certain people accuse us of trying to sensationalize an issue of like violence against women. They said that it created shock value and had nothing to do in the long run. So in a conservative country like ours, especially, they said that no flash mob, no kind of protest performance would ever stop the violence against women. It is futile. So my question is, I would love to know what you think about the sustainability and the long-term effects of performance protests like this one from Chile that we did.
If you do a performance and it gets like massive media, it's there forever. It's there forever. And it's really like how you know, if you want to do a performance and you tactics, a group, collaborative, sit around in a room and think about like whatever your thing is. If it's like women's rights in Calcutta, and then think about what can we do, and then everyone has an idea, and then like you pick that one idea, and then you try and build on that through right. Use that over there, do PR. Okay, you're going to be sending out the press release. You're going to be in the performance, and you act as a thing, and you send out, and you create the event. It's like what I said before. Like you can say anything before the event. You can make it so extraordinary, and it can be like, you know, and for lots of people that's real. And and what you do is you bring in the outside agencies. So if you're doing your thing in Calcutta, you're thinking about who's your opposition. Bring them into the narrative. You know what I mean? Make the story bigger. Make the story about them. Make the performance about the. You know, you can do it. You know, it's really amazing. I would love to sort of like teach how, you know, go and do workshops and you know, work with activist groups to like learn how to make political performance activism, how to carry messages, you know, how to make things extraordinary. You know, there's ways of passing on knowledge, and I kind of feel like I'm sort of like not doing that.
No, definitely.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's really strong. Then are you in Calcutta now?
Yes, I live in Calcutta. I've always been here. Yeah.
How
So we sorry.
Go on, tell me. We
all the people from Calcutta who have performed in the Chilean protest thing, the edition in here. We have a group, and we would love to collaborate with you sometime. If you'd let us know how to actually, you know, perform political protests. So that would be lovely, actually.
Yeah, do that. Get my email off the Majid.
Yeah, I'll share that.
That'd be really cool. I'd love to do that.
Thank you so much.
Hey.
Is there any other questions from anyone at all before we wrap it up? Well, Mark, thank you
Nice one, Majid.
so much. Honestly, it's always a pleasure to speak to you, as always.
Hey.
Thank you so much for taking
Hey, take care, mate.
Greatly.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep, he's gone. Thanks for joining us, and everybody. I hope he's definitely done a lot of interesting things, that's for sure. And the reason, just to give you a bit of context, the reason he did the thing with the corgi was it's the Queen's favorite dog. He's very anti-monarchist, right? The fact that why this elite family like don't pay any tax, they actually take money from taxpayers' pockets to pay for a £15 million kitchen or whatever, right? So he also ate a swan, and in the UK, it's illegal to eat swan because all the swans in the UK belong to the Queen. Queen owns all the swans in the UK. I know it's ridiculous, so it's illegal to touch them or do anything with them, right? Even if they could be living in different parts of the country. So to make the point, he ate a swan and he also ate a corgi, which happened to be the Queen's favorite dog, basically. But yeah, like he's done lots of interesting pieces of performance politics, which like I'm sure somebody touched upon, is the fact that sometimes it just stops you like, what? He's doing what? It just kind of like, it just seems so absolutely ridiculous that it kind of gets the attention. And then of course, by getting people's attention, then you'll be able to, they'll ask you why you're doing what you're doing. And then with that, you'll be like, I'm doing it because of X, Y, Z kind of thing, which I guess it's fascinating, and it brings a lot of information to light anyway. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, guys, and I'll see you all soon.